Hello, my name is Daniel Vasquez, and I am the writer of The Orange Sons of the Western Shore. This is Chapter 1, The Red Clock. Harsh shadows, 3 lighters, an unopened harmonica, and a bag of toothpicks, sandwich-sized, and the uncomfortable feeling you might have if you walked up on a living John Wayne, drunk in a stupor, explains the funky vibe I got when walking into Wilk Afterman's Red Clock, a sushi bar from the black hole of attitude. It was the beginning hours of the midnight crowd when I arrived. The shadows of the town had led everyone to Wilk's Pinpoint Experience, which was the title of a smaller magazine article with a bright, grainy picture of Wilk holding a cutting knife and a cigar in his mouth. The Red Clock was a sushi bar that offered barbecue, as well as beer, drinks, coasters mandatory, and a strict no-soup policy. It was obvious that Wilk had a passion for some colorful genre that went right along with everything before the space invasion. It was Sunday night, and I quickly learned from a short-haired woman that on every Sunday night, Wilk would feature 2 of his favorite films in the back from a projector planted in the kitchen window. She whispered it lightly while her eyes danced among the room, hidden behind a vivid newspaper that I had never seen before. "You'll find them if you ever make it past the saxophone's Forever Lucent Parade," she giggled, already lost among her seat's warmth. "It's caught me ever so suddenly, here you see, as it has you. I don't know which one welcomes you more, Red's natural melodies or the fascinating swarm." She shot a look at me, knowing I would forever remember her, perched behind her ice, with a beam towards a different shade of ruby-rich claret. As she took a sip of her bottomless blue drink and played with her flowing voice to capture those stranded in limbo about us, she pulled me along the room with a tour of her own fascination. I was still not off the bus to make any conclusions. She smiled as if it was simply too much to notice. The air, the sound, the owner she knew so little about but won her endeavors without thought. For a second, she let go, hugging a cowboy in a large hat while kicking someone behind her. I felt a sudden scratch deep within my neck and looked for something interesting. But before I ordered a drink, she had me by the arm again, rushing through the mess of things, searching for an angle or two to explain. The night featured 2 spaghetti westerns and a round of sake whenever the chefs met an interesting squad of night dwellers. The counter was made of blackboard, and the chefs had a piece of white chalk above their ears. But among the orders on the counter were sketches and doodles of everything between the ears and drinking from the tab. I missed the first movie and the beginning first 5 rounds, estimated that is, which had begun at 10. Jane informed me of the plot, among other things, which I quickly recognized to be one of the European greats. She was getting a refill at the moment, which had turned to a pointed meditation among the mass, and invited me to join her and her friends outside on the patio, since the booze intermission was coming to a halt and she didn't want to miss the opening credits. If I would have asked why, I'm almost sure she would have stopped and explained to me over several hours. That's just the way her persona left its mark. On the patio of Wilk's Red Clock, there was an interesting set of characters that seemed to hold true to the fact that they would stand out in a crowd anywhere but here. Characters beyond normal, beautiful beasts accustomed to rough conversations and peculiar smiles that almost brought a false sense of urgency. They were leaning to the music, drinking concoctions Californians have the time to create, and coffee at midnight on a Sunday evening, not yet ready or caring for the weekday already in progress. The short-haired woman Jane caught glances with the room and for a moment left me to my thoughts, which eventually spun me to her sailor's tattoo on her forearm. Bright scarlet and uniquely placed to catch a wandering gaze, it shot out from her arm, grabbing men from across the room, holding them captive until they had to meet the eyes behind the elegantly scarred limb. She sat waiting in the shadows of her slight makeup, already fully aware of any intentions that a man might find suitable. She turned to me and let her bottom lip get slightly closer. There was a glisten of her drink that made the radiance flash among its centering, and suddenly the room came toward you and agreed with the woman. It kissed her from above and told you why not. Although you would never embrace a creature as free as her, you had to push the universe back, as if you would. I let go of a breath and took a growing stare into my glass, and just then a leather-wearing caveman with a trimmed mustache tapped her shoulder and spoke with a gentleman's voice that must have at one time or the other been dragged through the mud. "From across the room your eyes appear to shine cherry, or is that a trick my own eyes are playing on me?" Not a bad line for the unwelcome stench, but she kept her eyes on me a little longer until he removed his hand, and then turned and held her tone as if she'd done it hundreds of times prior in anything but kind conditions. "Pal, I shine all kinds of colors, but I don't remember glowing toward you." He took a stab at me with his small eyes hiding under a large brow, recognizing her breed, and turned yelling out for another beer. With a raise of her lip, she refused to watch him leave, and turned to face the patio, explaining with softness the happenings of Red Clock's, its rules, and the superb array of people that walk through its doors, minus one or two. "Wilk would never bring anyone food except on movie Sunday," she laughed, but not welcoming company. "Any other day and Wilk will let your food sit on the counter over there, getting cold. Sometimes he won't even tell you it's ready. But everyone comes back, because Wilk is Wilk, and the Red Clock's is the best place to be in town if you have a creative hair on you." She was almost at a whisper, just a secret, as if she were a federal agent explaining how she fell in love with a spy that still brought her drinks once in a while. Her friends looked like they belonged off the cliffs of the Dutchlands, sitting next to paintings they would presume to understand. Gorgeous women, but slightly too fixed in one direction, never branching out more than their eyewear would allow. And now here they sat, caught up in the fascinating night that was Wilk's pinpoint experience, all giddy and alive with shouts of American excitement, beautiful but shuddering to my soul altogether. The group of them was crawled out over 30 and 40 years old, the war stories of love and abandonment. Gleaming from a glance, it wasn't hard to see they were all but ecstatic to see me, a smiling male, join. Jane explained they had gotten caught up living in California, a chance road stop that never fixed itself. "I tell you," she informed, breathing into my ear. "Honestly, I've been here for years, since the early 70s. I know what's up. I really do. Around here, the demons of night, and the demons' enemies. I know." Her teeth kissed her lips with a smile once again, so proud to be among the shadows of the chaos, yet her eyes reflecting a different scene altogether, still not far enough away. "But they just got here, and after a few nights in Los Angeles, well, it's hard to leave the city, am I right?" Her eyes jumped over her friends, who were most likely whispering my surmise, instead of listening to her passion being sprayed among the room. She scanned the room once more, and stayed on the canvas the years had painted, somewhere past the movie screen. I found something interesting to say, but she quickly hushed my unspoken word, and told me the director's name had appeared.